In August of 1933, the infamous gangster John Dillinger was sentenced to be locked up in the escape-proof jail of Lake County, which he was able to quickly prove was in fact escapable. He fashioned a fake gun using a well-carved bar of soap painted in black shoe polish and tricked guards into thinking it was real before he was able to get his hands on a real rifle. He made his getaway in the sheriff's brand new Ford. Unfortunately for Dillinger, driving that stolen vehicle across state lines would prove to be a fatal choice for him, since the FBI used this information to track him down, which prompted the firefight that took his life. When Frank Abagnale was first being committed to prison, he realized that the U.S. Marshal had forgotten his commitment papers. He used this information to convince the guards that he was actually an undercover agent, here to inspect the prison. Abagnale had his girlfriend print up fake business cards and help him smuggle them in. When the guards called the number listed on the cards, a friend of Abagnale picked up and informed the men that he was in fact an inspection agent. The guards were so convinced, they gave him special treatment and even allowed him to walk out of the prison. Frank now works as a consultant for the FBI. Pascal Paille was a French criminal who was incarcerated for a murder following a botched security van robbery. Paille had some of his friends hijack a helicopter and fly it into the prison during his free time in exercise yards. Not done with his grand escape, Paille commanded them to turn the helicopter around and return to the prison so he could help his new friends escape. Pascal was later caught and put into a new prison, which the authorities thought would be helicopter-proof. But the helicopter returned for a third time during the night and broke him out again. But this time it appears his escape will be permanent, since he has never been seen again. The biggest prison escape in British history. In September 1983 in County Antrim, Northern Ireland, 38 prisoners, who had been convicted of offenses including murder and causing explosions, escaped from H Block 7 of the prison. Using 2 guns smuggled into the prison, they held all the H Block guards as hostages until the food delivery truck arrived the next morning, and escaped using it. Only 19 of the 38 men were caught and recaptured. The others were assisted by the IRA in finding hiding places. Some of the group ended up in the USA, but were later found and extradited. Due to politics in Northern Ireland, none of the remaining escapees are being actively sought, and some have been given amnesties. Alfred Wetzler escaped from a Nazi prison camp by hiding in a hollowed-out hiding space near a new section that was still under construction. Other prisoners used gasoline and tobacco to mask the men's smells, so the guard dogs could not locate them. After 4 days, Alfred and another prisoner escaped by walking out the front door while wearing stolen Dutch clothing. Alfred made it to an Ally camp and was able to give them detailed descriptions of the inner layout of the Auschwitz death camp. This information was used to bomb the buildings and kill several high-ranking Nazis who were in charge of the railway transportation of Jews headed for the death camp. Alfred is credited with saving 120,000 lives. In 1942, Roger Bushell was captured and put into a German Air Force prisoner of war camp that housed captured Air Force personnel. In January of that same year, Bushell had made a plan to escape, with help of 77 other prisoners. The group of soldiers would dig 3 tunnels under the camp, each going in a different direction, hoping that at least one would not be discovered so they could make an escape. Eventually, one tunnel was discovered before completion, and many of the men were sent to a different camp. The primary tunnel became so intricate that nearing the end of completions, they had devised a way to pump fresh air into the tunnel, had electric lights, and had even built a railway cart to help easily move sand and dirt. Unfortunately, they had misjudged the distance they needed to dig and came up short, as they had planned for the tunnel to end in the forest, where they could easily have cover. But instead, they dug up a few feet short, and the opening of the tunnel was in an open field. The men waited a full week for a moonless night so they could escape in the safety of pitch black. One by one, each of the 77 prisoners would exit the tunnel and run toward the forest line for safety. The last man exiting was spotted by a guard, and a large manhunt took place. Over the course of the next few days, all but 3 men were recaptured and brought back to the prison. This time, to ensure no one tried to escape again, the Germans shot and killed everyone. Boyet Bach, who was placed in jail for suspected burglary, was able to escape prison by making a simple request that the guards give him his special cream. After all the guards went to sleep, he used the cream to lather up his body and squeeze through the small food slot in the door. Boyet Bach believed after escaping that he could prove he was innocent, but was unfortunately captured 6 days later and put into a cell with a smaller food door. Choi was 50 at the time of his escape. Andrew Roger, Keith Rose, and Matthew Williams escaped from the UK's Parkhurst prison by using time spent in the prison's sheet metal shop to construct their own tools. They built a ladder, a gun, and even made an exact copy of a master key to the prison. The key is believed to have been made from memory after seeing it on a prison guard's hip once. The three men waited until they were given free time in the yard and walked over to the gate, unlocked every door using the handmade key, and finally used the ladder to assist them climbing over the outside fence. Unfortunately for them, they were apprehended 4 days later while hiding in a shed, before they could carry out their plan to steal an airplane so Keith Rose could fly them out of the country. During World War II, while stuck in the Sobibor death camp, prisoners Leon Feldhendler and Alexander Sasha Pechersky devised a plan to escape. The plan was to have all the prisoners band together and kill every guard and officer in the prison. With the objective in mind, the prisoners began secretly building knives and other sharp objects in the prison's workshop. Once everyone had a weapon, they would call the guards individually into the workshop to collect broken items they had left to be repaired. When the guard entered, they would jump him, kill him, and take his weapon. One by one, the prisoners killed every single guard inside the prison. Some even had machine guns. At this point, they simply walked out of the prison as a large armed force. Of the 600 prisoners, 300 escaped, with only 70 actually surviving the war. This is the highest percentage of survivors from a death camp. Mexican drug kingpin El Chapo Guzman first escaped from prison in 2001 by bribing guards to leave the cell door open so he could hide in a laundry hamper where bribed laundrymen loaded it into the back of a van and drove to a gas station. 78 people were implicated in his escape plan. El Chapo then ran away and managed to evade police until 2014. He did not last long in prison though, as he escaped again the following year. This time El Chapo had a team of men create a fake construction site roughly a kilometer away and slowly dig their way into his cell. The tunnel was equipped with lighting, ventilation, and a modified motorcycle that ran on rails to help move dirt. El Chapo's freedom was short-lived since he was recaptured for a third time in 2016, which ended in a shootout that cost 5 of his men's lives and wounded 1 Marine.